Being brave means a lot of things to a lot of different people. So we hope that you'll take some lessons today from the stories that you hear, but also lessons from the many generations of women who have come before us, who have led the way and have paved the way for each one of us to be where we are today.
Came to Charleston as a single mom and wanted to go back to college. So we ended up living in public housing and immediately had a need for food. And that really got me interested in making food accessible to everybody. If your community doesn't have all the necessities and you have to go outside of your community to get that, and that doesn't make any economic sense. So we've just been trying to figure out a way to be able to create community and economy at the same time. We have to make it a level playing field for everybody, because how can we expect the children in this neighborhood to succeed if they have less housing, not as nutritious food, and their parents aren't making the same kind of incomes as other communities? So we got to fix that.
It was stop and go, and I was about 5 miles per hour, and I saw in the window there was a F-150 coming at me at 70 miles per hour. They said you might have some disc problems, but we can't really see. So I pushed through it, and for 5 years I continued to push through until one day I was seeing a patient and fell and right down onto the floor and couldn't move, and began the battle of my first trial and error of trying to defend myself and to convince others that I had something wrong with me. It took 7 years to reach a diagnosis for the dysautonomia after the back surgeries, 6 back surgeries. I stayed in bed for a year, and then another year, and then another year. In and out of the hospital again, defending myself that there is something wrong. Average time to diagnosis for dysautonomia is 5 years. We find out that there are no treatments or cure. My father and I felt that that's when we were going to start this foundation. It takes an advocate to push for you and to let you know that you have someone that believes you and says, I believe you and I will fight for you.
We have a nonprofit horse rescue group that I've been doing for over 30 years, just out of pocket. And 6 years ago, we took in 33 horses in one day. And so a group of us that just really have a heart for rescue and for rehabilitating horses, we formed a group and we named it LEARN, which stands for Livestock and Equine Awareness and Rescue Network. And it's a community outreach program. We work with children and families, and we try to educate people. Back in October, we had a 300-pound pet pig, and as I was petting her, she tossed me. They're very strong, and when she tossed me in the air, I fell off of the porch and landed on a 4x6 beam, and it ruptured my spleen and collapsed my lung and crushed my esophagus, and it obliterated my entire left chest wall. It's been a long recovery, very long, painful recovery. It was December 30th of 2007, and my son was 20 years old, and he was killed in a car accident. And the week before he was killed, I had taken in 2 horses as starvation cases, and those 2 horses gave me an outlet for the love that when you lose a child, you have love that it needs to be given somewhere, and it's very difficult to explain, but you have to have an outlet for that. In that process, so many children, teenagers, started coming out to volunteer, and I feel like God gave me those children and those families to help with the loss that we suffered losing Paul. And they've become like children to us. They've become family. And the horses, helping the horses, seem to heal them. And so it's just been a beautiful cycle.
I opened the birth center in January 2007. In South Carolina, there are currently 5. In the United States, there's around 300. My goal, my plan was to have this birth center that is a place for midwives to be able to practice their trade to the full training that they have, which was not available in this area, and for mothers and their babies and families to give birth in a way that is different than what's offered in the hospitals. So it's been 7.5 years. We've delivered a little over 1,600 babies. A little over a year ago, the Health Department, South Carolina DHEC, threatened to close all the birth centers in South Carolina. There was some concerns with quality at another birth center in another part of the state. And their thought of how to fix that was to reinforce the law to say that our consulting physician be physically at the birth center in an emergency type situation, which doesn't make any kind of medical sense. And they wanted him to sign a contract saying that he would physically come to the birth center in an emergency, and due to liability issues he couldn't do that. So we were told on a Thursday that we were getting a citation that was a Class 3 citation, which meant they could take our license. I went and visited with Senator Tim Scott's office, Lindsey Graham, and Mark Sanford. When I first started with this legal fight, when I went to see my primary care doctor, her first response was, "I knew you were going to be coming in soon, and you know, this is a high stress situation. My blood pressure was up," and you know, you just don't recognize when you're in the middle of doing things like that what stress can do to you, and it can affect all your body systems. And so, you know, it's really important that whenever you are trying to do something like that, that you take a few minutes to take care of, you know, yourself. And that's what I'm learning, to, you know, like take 10 minutes and do some meditation once a day to try to calm down those adrenaline and cortisol and all those stress hormones. Birth centers are taking off and becoming very popular across the country, so we're looking at other models that can be a little bit more sustainable than just, you know, the small entrepreneurial midwife-owned center, because it makes it very difficult when you have these big issues that come up to, you know, fight up when you're fighting the big boys and you're the little guy. It's very difficult.
Ella Bolton is 7 years old and is able to understand concepts that still have a tendency to make adults squirm. Ella, now 6, was diagnosed with severe chronic colitis and Crohn's disease starting at 18 months of age. Diseases and illnesses are not just pains of the patient, but of their entire social support system. Ella and her community have faced multiple and lengthy hospitalizations, surgeries, and various treatment programs to help her remain in remission. At such a young age, her whole world has changed. She spent fall and winter holidays inside the walls of healthcare facilities. But instead of giving up, Ella got up, went to school, and shared the Teal Pumpkin Project with her classmates. This campaign encourages people to raise awareness of food allergies by providing non-food treats for trick-or-treaters and painting a pumpkin teal, the color of food allergy awareness, to place in front of their house to indicate they have non-food treats available.
It means fearless to me, that despite the fact that it doesn't make any sense, you're going to do it anyway. I don't take no for an answer. And that has just been like the script since way back when you know, people told us lots of things that we couldn't do.
I'm not brave. I'm human. I hate this. This is not what I wanted for my life. But I made a decision, as Viktor Frankl said, you have to learn the art of tragic optimism. Mourn your life that you used to have. Get up, or in my case, lie in bed and figure out how you're going to live moving forward. I decided at that point that I'm going to try and do something. And for me, it saved my life.
I think being brave to me means being brave in my faith, because there have been many times when, through different adversities, through the rescues, through the families who have come through here, And even with the loss of my son, I've had to be brave, but that brave has come through faith. And sometimes I haven't been brave, I've just done it afraid. I've just done it when I was scared and I was intimidated or fearful, but I did it anyway. And through that process, I feel like I've become more brave.
Brave means to me that you're going to continue on with whatever your life plan is, regardless of the obstacles that are get thrown in front of you.
I keep working because it's not about me. You know, this is bigger than my bad attitudes. I shovel it out. That's what I do. The problem is temporary, and just getting out here and working shows you what the potential of what you're doing is, and then it takes your mind off of that temporary, small non-issue.
I have a family that will let me cry on their shoulder, and I have friends that will come by and remind me of life can go on and you can find joy in the people that you love and celebrate their lives. And for me, that gets me through.
There were days when I thought I just could not put one more foot in front of the other, and through that process I just leaned so heavily on my faith and these children and the people that come out to the farm. I would get a phone call or a text message, or a horse would come over and nuzzle me. And it just made me more brave.
Sometimes a glass of wine helps, but also being around your friends and family really helps. You know, my husband's been a huge supporter. The people that I work with, my employees are not just employees, they're friends and coworkers, and I had some of those, my families that gave birth there, sitting around this table with our coworkers, and we were just, you know, meeting and making posters and making plans, and not just sitting around waiting for the gloom and doom to happen, but actually do something about it.
Be an example to my kids. Don't, oh my gosh. Because, you know, I had to, you know, get to my 30s to figure this out. And now I have these teenagers that have seen me from childhood do this. And that's what the mindset that they're going to take into their lives and do much more than I will ever accomplish. My hope is that we can come to a point, hopefully through our work here at Fresh Future Farm, where we have the voices from the community that are meeting those voices of leadership to get some actual things accomplished that benefit the neighborhood as a whole.
Empathy, trust, and a willingness to put aside your prejudices and say, I am going to fight for someone, or I'm going to believe in a cause greater than myself.
My husband, we've known each other since we were 14, and he has truly been the rock behind not just me, but even with the rescue. He is a role model for the children. He is an intricate part of what we do, and I doubt that I could be brave to the point that I am without him. I had one little girl write a letter, and she said, "That horse healed a part of me that I didn't even know was broken." And that was beautiful, because sometimes we don't know that we're broken, or that we're injured, or that we're wounded. And sometimes it's brought out when you're helping another animal or another person. Through education and through faith and truly love for one another, I feel like we can make a huge difference.
You know, we were threatened for the birth center to be closed And it was the week before Thanksgiving, and by that Monday there was over 300 people with picket signs downtown picketing. It was on the news media a lot. I had local politicians calling and asking how they could help. My employees, my friends, my family, everybody was behind me. It wasn't that I was doing it alone. I was leading the charge, but I had an army behind me.
For Ella, there are times when she is scared or worried. She faces that fear and moves forward anyway, as she knows that she must. Ella practices her miraculous courage by helping others understand that we are each unique individuals that need to be appreciated for our differences, not in spite of them.
Everything.
Kind of figured.
Everything makes me laugh. But you have to have a sense of humor, otherwise you be burnt out before you get started.
Laughter is the best medicine. Everybody tells you that. And then when you're sick, you really do realize that. I will call people and say, just tell me something funny. I don't need you to tell me about anything else, just make me laugh.
I just cannot explain how these animals and these children and the other people out at the rescue bring so much joy. And even on days when I feel like there's absolutely no reason to laugh, something will be said or done, and it makes me realize that we take life too seriously. We really have to see the humor in things. And there's always a reason to laugh or to feel good about something.
I'm a big fan of dogs, and I have 3 little French bulldogs, one of which is a puppy. So I would say hanging with those little dogs, watching their shenanigans, usually keeps me pretty entertained. A good sense of humor and laughter is the only thing that really can get you through the difficult times, and you have to be able to joke with yourself and joke with your situation so that you do kind of blow off a little bit of steam.
The biggest lesson is create a plan, have that plan, and then be mature enough to keep going if you have to throw it out the window. Because we had plans specific to what we wanted to do that didn't unfold the way we do, because not everything is in our control, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So you just got to be able to be flexible and keep going.
It's okay to be mad, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to fall down and cry and say, why me? But you have to, at that point, then get back up and say, okay, well, I'm not going to have that answer. I'm going to find my own hope, and I'm going to find my own purpose, no matter what.
Faith and love and acceptance and understanding are not common enough in our society. Everyone has an agenda, or they have a mindset that is absolutely unshakable. It is imperative that we are more open-minded and that we're more accepting. Before you do or say something, if you stop and think, am I saying this in love? Am I doing this in love? It can make all the difference in the world.
I would say that it's very surprising. You just don't know how many people you affect until something like this happens. It's just kind of blows me away that, all I did was follow my dream, but I was able to make the dream possible for many other people.
Ella doesn't see what she cannot do. She looks at things and makes the most out of every situation.
The Be Brave event is about honoring amazing people with truly inspiring stories. This is true. But it's also about you, and it's about me, and it's about all of us. If we can inspire and motivate and encourage each one of us to walk away with a renewed sense of what it means for each of us to be brave, whatever that is, then we feel like that's what we've done in this event to make change. So if we leave here and we're inspired to be brave, to start a new business, or to run for office, or to help somebody who's in need, or to take a stand for something that we believe in, or maybe just to sit quietly with somebody who's in need, maybe that's what it means to be brave for each one of us, then we think that this event has done what it should be doing in our community. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for being brave in everything that you choose to do.